Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to an all-new edition of WAWR Radio Chats. Guys, before we get started and introduce our featured guest of the evening, we do have to remind everyone that this show is always brought to you by FightSaga.com. Guys, for the latest boxing news, please go visit FightSaga.com on the daily. Guys, this would not be an episode of WAWR Radio Chats without the counsel of our very good friend, Mr. IOTBA, Karray Bradshaw. Karray, welcome to the show, brother.
Shout out to everybody on here from the 2142 across the pond. Shout out to FightSaga.com. Let's get it popping, Joe.
Well, I tell you what, let me just rattle off our syllabus for the evening, right? We're going to be talking Tyson Fury COVID conspiracy theories, and we're going to be debunking all of them. We're also going to be talking about was the WBA wrong for snubbing Manny Pacquiao as their Super WBA Champion? We're also going to be talking about Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos getting staged in Australia on October 17th. Or will Teofimo, the newest prima donna of the 135-pound weight division, will he vacate his IBF title instead? And the last topic on the list, will Canelo Alvarez be taking on Dmitri Bivol instead of Caleb Plant on September 9th or the 18th? Which one would you like to discuss first, my friend?
Hey, man, just pick one, Joe. Let's go.
Well, let's do the biggest topic that everyone seems to be belly aching on, and that is Tyson Fury testing positive for COVID. Now, guys, once again, this was reported first on Friday that Tyson Fury had indeed tested positive for COVID-19 in the Delta variant. In fact, it seemed to be something going through their camp. And I'll shed some more light on this because I did speak with several people regarding this, several people actually in the business and knowledgeable of the situation, not just some bunch of fans who have too much time on their hands with a YouTube channel and decided to, come up with some fairy tale or conspiracy theory. So once again, it was reported that, others had tested positive in Team Fury's camp, and that was, assistant trainer Andy Lee, featherweight Isaac Lowe, former heavyweight titleist Joseph Parker, and now we know that Javen Sugar Hill's light, heavy, or super middleweight contender from Russia, Vladimir Shishkin, just tested positive as well. Undefeated Vladimir Klitschko, 12-0 with 7 knockouts. And so, guys, this is very real. And once again, the conspiracy theories were, they saw the slumping ticket sales, and they decided to push this back to October 9th to try and sell more tickets and to create more buzz to this already stagnant heavyweight matchup, right? Does that sound realistic? Okay, and here's the one that I thought was most comical. Tyson Fury. Oh, the real reason why they had to postpone this, it wasn't COVID. He just got busted up by Jared Anderson. 9-0 with 9 knockouts. Jared Anderson, a guy who's only at the 6 and 8 round level, who's given away 6 inches to Tyson Fury, busted him up in sparring, knocked him out. That's the real reason why he had to postpone this. He's afraid of Wilder. Okay, before I just lay it on everybody and read some quotes from guys who I actually spoke to that were knowledgeable of this. What are your thoughts on this, Karray? And what are your thoughts on the conspiracy theories from all of these, YouTubers?
First off, I want to say it's very unfortunate, that the lineal and WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury, and his team caught COVID-19 going into this enormous heavyweight matchup against Deontay Wilder on July 24th. It's very unfortunate because that was a big fight, not only in North America, but across the pond. This was a big fight that everybody had penciled in on their calendar, right? I think it's absolutely absurd, right? For any conspiracy theory that this guy who's on the 6 to 8 round level, busting up Tyson Fury, the heavyweight champion of the world, who just beat one of the top heavyweights, 1, 2, or 3, and he's one of the biggest fighters in the world in Deontay Wilder. I just think that is disrespectful to Deontay Wilder, right? To say Jared Anderson was busting up Tyson Fury in sparring, but Deontay Wilder couldn't do it in the fight. Like, that's absolutely absurd. And that just show you why, you know, a lot of fans out here, respect to you fans out here, but a lot of you guys who be scrabbling and scrolling up your articles like me, y'all are idiots.
Sorry, it's a mosquito. They're correct.
Oh no, they are
summertime,
true.
brother. Well,
Yeah.
look. Let me just say this, okay? And once again, Jared Anderson is a fine, blossoming heavyweight. I mean, he's a 21-year-old potential superstar, right? 9-0, 9 knockouts. He's coming up the right way. The 46th ranked heavyweight in the world, right? And Tyson Fury even stated in their photo op with Jared Anderson as well as W.A.W. when they had that press day with all 3 top-ranked heavyweights. Tyson Fury said, oh, this guy can move. He can really fight. This guy's going to be a future champion. And I guess people had, because keep in mind, and they were showing like going some rounds in the gym just for the photo op. But guys, make no mistake of this. Jared Anderson is not one of Tyson Fury's sparring partners for Deontay Wilder. The 6'4" heavyweight doesn't really give the same looks that Deontay Wilder would. And once again, I confirmed this with Javen, right? Head trainer for Tyson Fury said, look, man, sorry, he went maybe about 3 rounds and it wasn't anything serious, but we get nothing from sparring with Jared Anderson in our preparation for Deontay Wilder. They're nothing alike. We would get more, if anything, sparring with W.A.W, but we're not going to do that either because he's a future opponent. Okay? He's a future opponent. That was a photo op. Okay, so once again, Javen just debunked that. This is a guy who is not on Tyson Fury's level yet. He's 21 years old. And he's like, you know what? These guys may be future opponents. They're not going to spar. At least not seriously. And they definitely wouldn't, like Jared Anderson wouldn't give him the same looks that Deontay Wilder would give him. He's a smaller fighter. And he's still at the 6 and 8 round level. This is absurd. But I'll tell you where they contracted COVID. And once again, Javid wouldn't disclose any names. He said this. He said, we flew a guy in that was asymptomatic. And I think that's what infected everybody. Because he didn't start showing symptoms until he actually started working over here. And that's who got everyone sick. But look, it still doesn't change the fact that the responsibility lies on Tyson Fury. I know Javen is supposed to manage that camp, but look, man, if you're duly vaccinated, okay, and I understand the Delta variant still leaves you a 10 to 15% chance of catching COVID, right? But still, if you're duly vaccinated, man, it completely reduces your chances. Okay, the responsibility of this, or the irresponsibility of this, lies on the shoulders of one man, Tyson Fury. Brother, you're fighting for $30 million, a career-high payday, against a guy that you can knock out. Come on, man.
No, I agree with you 100%, Joe. Javen's just the trainer, Tyson Fury is the man in that camp, and he's supposed to have it way more organized than that. None of this fault.
Look, and you've been in enough camps, Karray. Yeah. Javen is supposed to be managing that camp. Okay, and he admits that someone that they flew in there more than likely had COVID, and that's what got everyone sick. But get yourself vaccinated. Use all, I mean, and you know, brother, you've been in a gym. How filthy is every single gym that you've ever been in?
They filthy.
They're disgusting. It's a cesspool of germs and bacteria. Right? It's virtually impossible to keep those things clean. So you know what? If you're getting sparring partners in, you've got to keep them in a bubble. I know you're in Vegas, and I know after a hard day of sparring, you want to go gamble, you want to go see some shows, and you want to have fun. But guys, this is work. Keep them in a bubble. We're still in a pandemic. I know all restrictions are easing up, but come on, guys. After the new Delta variant started showing up, right, people need to start using, look, I'm going to be covering Charlo versus Castaño all week. And guess what? I'm not allowed inside unless I'm wearing a mask and unless I show my vaccination card. Okay? That's the reality, guys. Credit to PBC for handling their business like professionals, and shame on Team Fury for not handling things like professionals.
Right.
Okay, so once again, we all know who to point the finger at, Team Fury. But let's nip this in the bud with these conspiracy theories. You want to hear the next one? Here's the next conspiracy theory. Oh, well, they pushed back the date because ticket sales were so bad. Do you believe that? Does that make any sense?
That's just like one of the stupidest quotes of 2021. Like this, like Joseph, I'm being honest with you. This may not feel like this to a lot of people, but to me, it's like one big time fight of the year that feels like the Super Bowl to me. And this was it right here. Everybody from the 214 to across the pond, whether the circumstances surrounding the fight or whatever, they were all intrigued to watch this matchup on July the 24th, right? This was a sold out event. So it's just truly absurd for people to bring up ticket sales and say ticket. Now, don't talk about this fight with ticket sales. Talk about fights like Caleb Plant versus Caleb Truex. Talk about ticket sales with that. Don't talk about no ticket sales with me with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury.
Well, to that defense, Karray, Caleb Plant versus Caleb Truax, boy, they don't have a $30 million purse attached to it. So yeah, ticket sales are crucial. The live gate, but guys, when look, and let me just nip this in the bud though, Karray, because this is what Bruce Trampler, Hall of Fame matchmaker for Top Rank, had to say about all this. And once again, this is a product of people who aren't in the business, never will be in the business, espousing a bunch of rubbish. Because that's all it is. It's nonsense, guys. These same guys who believe in Glovegate have come up with these stupid theories. These ignorant theories that make absolutely no sense to anyone in the business. Okay? Once again, we asked Bruce Trampler about that theory. He said, look, he goes, and in my best Bruce Trampler voice, right? He goes, we've got over 50 people working at Top Rank in all different capacities. We've got a lot of people involved in this in other shows. We're exclusive to ESPN. And when something like this happens, it affects not only hundreds of people, but thousands. So we're going to try and piece these things together and do the best we can. We understand that these things happen. So we'll just have to move forward, figure it out, and make the best of it. And I said, okay, well, yeah, I mean, surely fans understand. And once again, we said, surely fans understand that this is not exclusive to Tyson Fury, that this has happened a lot over the past year. And he said, yeah, most recently, of course, was the Triller show where Teofimo tested positive. During our year at the Bubble in MGM, we had a number of bouts canceled either due to COVID illness by a fighter or by his cornerman. So we've just been living with this since March of last year. We've had to postpone and reschedule numerous events, as have most promoters. So it's just the era that we're living in. And he went
And
on to
Joe,
say this.
oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Here comes the best part, brother. And he goes on to say this, quote, clearly for those involved in the event, they're losing paydays and purses. The cornermen are losing out. The promoters are losing big investments, travel, lodging, advertising, things like that. It's terrible for everybody, especially the promoters that are losing out on millions. We've been through this before, and unfortunately, we're going to have to go through this again, I'm sure. He said, but make no mistake of this, everyone is affected by this. At least not the promoter who's laid out a ton of money so far. I can tell you the fight was trending very well. Tickets, surprisingly for this time of the year, in a sweltering hot Las Vegas, the advance sales were tremendous. The advance sales on digital pay-per-view subscriptions were way ahead of where we expected it to be and where we were for the first fight. So when it's rescheduled, we hope to reach those same targets. But to think that we postponed this because we weren't hitting those numbers is ridiculous. End quote.
Oh no, Bruce made a hell of a statement, and when he say everybody, you know, this one thing I go back to my guy Joseph Herron. He tell me who the real bosses of boxing is, and that is the fans. Think about all the fans who had to make reservations and who had to take out, put in their notices at work that they was gonna be up here and they, you know, at this fight, and now all of that has changed for the real bosses of boxing and the fans. Like respect to all the promoters, because without the promoters, we wouldn't be able to have these events like this. But as my guy Joseph Herron say, the real bosses of boxing are the fans. And think about all the fans all over the world, you know, who love the sport of boxing, who not everybody's don't have a lot of money in this world, but when you want to go to an event, you save up for months in a time to make sure you have that amount of money so you could go to the event. Think about the fans in the hotel reservations. Think about the fans. So when people sit up here and talk, think about the real bosses in boxing and us having to attend the fight that we have to change up all our plans for because this happened. So, like I said, you know, we have to be a little bit more. We have to have a lot of empathy for the situation, especially for a lot of people who've been affected and lost lives during COVID-19. This is nothing to play with. And with Tyson Fury caught COVID-19, I would rather this fight be off to make sure everybody in that camp get healthy than see a boxing match that bad. We could always see it again. But this really affected the real bosses in boxing, in my opinion, the fans.
Yeah, you know what? Very good. Very well said. And look, it's funny. And Steve Kim just wrote a very interesting article in which he points out that, did you realize, Karray, that Tyson Fury has never defended his title ever?
Yeah, I forgot about that, but now
he's never defended his world championship title, going back to late 2015 when Fury outpointed Vladimir Klitschko for the undisputed heavyweight championship. He followed that up by never following through with the rematch clause for that fight, and then fell into a personal abyss that kept him out of the ring for nearly 2.5 years. Right?
That's okay, crazy to think about.
Now fast forward to February 2020 when he finally wins another major world title, the WBC. We're still waiting for him to defend that title. So if you ask me, guys, don't hold your breath. October 9th, you may see Tyson Fury retire once again. And if this happens, hang it up. No one's going to want to work with him ever again. And I tell you what, ask me though, if I feel sorry for Deontay Wilder. Ask me that.
Do you feel sorry for Deontay
Hell
Wilder?
no, dude. You don't even deserve a third fight. After all the buffoonish accusations that you made making a mockery of the sport. Water glove gate, water tampering, acting like you're the king of Wakanda. Brother, you deserve a straight jacket and a year's full of therapy. You don't deserve another fight. You don't deserve another title fight. Look, man, you need, and once again, I said this 2 weeks ago on the last time we were on the air. Brother, Deontay Wilder with his death threats and everything, man, he needs a psychological evaluation, a complete psych eval before he should be able to fight ever again.
Oh, no, I agree with you 100%, Joe. I've never, since I've been watching the sport of boxing, seen a fighter take a loss like this and come up with all them ferocious accusations.
Yeah, look, absolutely. You know what? I've heard some doozies. Like, you remember David Haye when he lost to Vladimir Klitschko, took off his shoe and showed everyone his ugly ass corn on his pinky toe?
Yeah.
Man, we don't want to see your bunions, dude. But hey, you know what? That's the way it goes, and it's synonymous throughout boxing heavyweight history, especially. It's synonymous for fighters to make excuses, right? But this goes beyond excuses.
Woo.
This is accusations of foul play and criminal activity. This is serious.
This is defamation of character without no evidence.
That's absolutely right, Karray. Very well said, brother. And you know what, man? I don't feel bad for Deontay Wilder in the slightest.
Me either.
Go get some therapy. Go get a psych evaluation. Because it's obvious you don't know how to play with the others in the sandbox. Chingo. Your final thoughts on this before we move forward, my friend?
Yeah, I don't have a mustard seed inside of me that feels sorry for Deontay Wilder if the situation plays out how it does.
Oh, Chihuahua, man. I tell you what. Geez.
Deontay Wilder is ridiculous, man. He's ridiculous. Let's go to what was the second topic you said tonight?
Well, hold on. So hopefully, guys, fans, you guys realize that all of these conspiracy theories, once again, are unfounded, unsupported nonsense. Just nonsense, guys. And once again, the way fans have become, Karray, they've become insufferable now. Like like on forums, you could hear the news straight from the horse's mouth, and you could tell them, well, this is what happened. Oh, well, I don't believe it. No, I don't believe it. I believe it was something else. Dude, I'm telling you that this is exactly what it was. Well, I don't believe it. Oh, my gosh. It's like they want to believe in fairy tales and these false narratives from guys who have never been in the business that just throw anything up against the wall and see what sticks.
I agree 100%, Joe.
And let me tell you, it's ruining the boxing business. Just like these conspiracy theorists, flat earthers are ruining politics. Like, this is so bad for the sport. And honestly, it's driving a lot of good, hardworking people, honest people, away from the sport of boxing. It's making this for me and a lot of people that I talk to on the daily more than just a labor of love.
Ooh, boy.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Ooh, no.
So let's move on before I get into an even more foul mood than this. Yeah. Let's move on. Do you want to talk about
the
Manny
WBA
Pacquiao getting snubbed by the WBA?
Yeah.
Let's do it, guys. Okay. Yeah. Now this one is insane. And once again, guys, you have a lot of fans that are defending the judgment of the WBA in this. And once again, they're not real fans of boxing. They're merely fans of specific fighters or a specific platform or network. Right? Okay, so let's read this. Right? You know, it was just ruled by the WBA, right? And once again, going back to January 29th of this year, Team Pacquiao was deemed by the WBA their champion in recess because of a 2-year stint out of the ring, right? So what happened was Jamal James was promoted from being the interim champion to the regular champion, and Yordenis Ugas was promoted from being just the regular champion to the super WBA champion without having to fight anybody to win that title. So listen to this. So this is what Yordenis Ugas had to say about this, and I want to get your response from this, brother. This is almost comical. This is what Yordenis Ugas had to say yesterday. He said this: "It's good to see that justice prevailed. I am a fighter of respect, and I have earned this position. The WBA raised me to unify myself, and that is what I was going to do. Pacquiao wanted to come back. That's perfect. I respect him. He is a legend, but I am still the WBA champion." End quote. Karray, do you recognize Yordenis Ugas as being the super WBA champion after beating Abel Ramos?
Absolutely not.
Last year?
Absolutely not. I recognize Manny Pacquiao as the WBA super champion at welterweight, period. You know, this is a joke to me with the WBA, right? It's like you guys let Floyd Mayweather hold on to the belt, be super champ without even fighting Keith Thurman. But look, and you know what's crazy? How did Deontay Wilder get his judgment for the for it being COVID, which is understandable that he should still have that fight since it's COVID. So why it's not understandable for the Manny Pacquiao situation? This right here is a disgrace to boxing. You know, like you say, Joseph, it's turned to a labor of love. You know, like.
Yep. Well, look. This is a disgrace to the once proud and historic lineage of the WBA, the longest standing and most respected of all major world boxing titles. Like, keep in mind, guys, this is the longest one. It used to be the NBA back in the 20s and the 30s, right? And the 40s. This is how long the WBA goes back. It's a direct lineage from the belt that Jack Dempsey used to wear, Joe Louis. This was the original boxing world title, the NBA, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what Sean Gibbons had to say. And once again, Sean, if he's a very influential guy, great matchmaker, great manager, great advisor. A guy who's never has a shortage of things to say, right? So this is what he responded with. This is what Sean said after the press conference on Sunday. He said, quote, "I can tell you what Manny didn't receive. He didn't receive due process and respect. It took 2 years to even receive the world title belt that he earned inside the ring by beating undefeated super champion Keith Thurman. Excuse me. Hell, Manny only received that belt on Saturday." He went on to say this, quote, "The WBA never inquired about Manny's title defense plans. The WBA never warned us Manny's super championship status would be in jeopardy. The WBA never informed us that Manny had been designated its champion in recess. We had to read about it from the WBA's press release on the internet. And speaking of Keith Thurman, the WBA had no concern about his lack of activity when he went over 22 months between title defenses."
Mm-hmm.
So he said he finalized everything by saying this, letting Gilberto Mendoza and the WBA have it. He said this, excuse me, Recess is over. The two best fighters in the welterweight division are facing each other on August 21st. It should be celebrated and properly recognized. The Ring is even blessing the winner as its welterweight champion. This is not a sanctioning group. It's a used car lot, the WBA. Take my advice. Before paying the WBA sanctioning fee, kick the tires and read the warranty. Perhaps their new slogan should be caveat emptor. which in any like used car lot contract, it means buyer beware. Buy at your own risk, right? Excuse me, I have to get a drink, man. That like Saudi wind or that Sahara wind is kicking my friend right now, man.
Yeah, and you know, I'm glad you mentioned that because I was thinking about how the WBA, when they made Floyd Mayweather the super champ, how he snubbed Keith Thurman for a long time. But that just totally slipped my mind. How Keith Thurman was the WBA champ for 22 months.
Yep, 22 months without having any activity.
And look, they
look,
let him fight for that.
Look at this. He fought Danny Garcia on March 4th, 2017. And his next fight wasn't until defending his title against Joseph Lopez on January 26th, 2019. 22 months. They didn't say a damn thing. Once again, guys, we already know what this is. This is Gilberto Mendoza and the WBA basically doing the bidding of Al Heyman. They're basically business partners at this point. In fact, you know what? The WBA should be retitled the PBC belt.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Seriously, that's what it should be because that's what it is right now. And to be honest with you, I don't even want to recognize the WBA any longer. I already don't recognize the WBA arugula belt or whatever the hell it's called. And I definitely don't recognize the WBA interim title either. It's just new ways. And once again, theoretically, I understand the reason the WBA said that they created these things to give young fighters greater opportunities on TV and to make bigger purses. Yeah. You know what? It's a way to tax all of these hardworking fighters. Yeah. Don't give me that BS. Oh, it creates these opportunities. Shut up. Man, it's a way to get 3% of their purse.
Yeah.
It's a way to get 3% of their purse. That's it.
And you know, I'm hearing you know, for that WBA regular that they promoted Jamal James to, him and Sean Porter finna fight for that. This is ridiculous, man.
Look. That's what Sean Porter said. In my opinion, what I heard, right? What I heard, and I don't know if Sean Porter's going to be able to be ready to fight by August 21st, more like September or October. So it very well may be Keith Thurman now versus Jordanius Ugas, but I doubt it because look how expensive that main event is on Fox. Pacquiao versus Spence is eating up pretty much all of the money. It's not, guys, if you're looking forward to seeing a stacked undercard, don't. That fight is so expensive. And look, from what I've been told, Fox has no plans of renewing Heyman's contract with the network.
Right? But you know what I was going to say, Joe? I was going to be like, you know, because I was going to mention that about them, the contract being over with in October, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so this is a time for PBC to really make a stand, like, you know, if they wanted to try to get that extension with Fox by putting, you know, they could do this like they did in 2013 when you had Floyd versus Canelo.
Look, and
Danny
once
versus,
again,
what's he say?
That's, well, Karray, you know what? And that sounds good in theory, but where are they going to come up with the money?
I agree. I mean, I agree.
Dude, I mean, as it is, I really don't understand how they're able to guarantee this huge purse. I'm sorry, how do you pronounce this? Iprakoa?
Iprakoa, yeah.
Uh, maybe. I think I'm probably butchering this name, right?
Iparokua. I
Anyway,
apologize. I'm gonna just call you.
Anyway,
EP.
I tell you what, I'm going to call you E. E, thanks for joining us. He says this: they are backing up Heyman as he is thinking he needs to have a belt in case Manny beats Spence. You know what, brother? That's not a stretch. In my opinion, it's just trying to share the wealth, the socialist of the boxing business, right? Heyman trying to spread the wealth among his massive stable of fighters, right? And to be honest with you, I'll say this. Rule this should be a new rule when dealing with Al Heyman. Do not sign him for multi-year deals. Keep him on a 1-year deal leash. Because look at the matchups that we've been getting from both Showtime and Fox this year. We've got Spence versus Pacquiao. And I'm sorry, I know he had a lot of critics, but Ruiz versus Areola from top to bottom, that card was lights out.
It was stacked.
We're also getting, in a collaborative effort with Top Rank and ESPN, Wilder versus Fury in a stack card. And then we're getting this brilliant matchup at 147 pounds, Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence Jr. And then look at the summer series that we're getting on Showtime. Guys, we're getting undisputed at 154 pounds. Brian Castano challenging Jermell Charlo this Saturday night on free Showtime. Guys, give credit to where credit is due. PBC has done an amazing job this year. But guys, this is only reason why. And I'm telling you this just from history. History tells us this. The only reason why we're seeing these stacked matchups, these stacked cards, this awesome schedule, is because it's a contract year. The contract year is up in Showtime and with Fox. That's the only reason why you're seeing this, brother. So once again, if Espinoza and Fox and Showtime, if they have a brain in their head, keep Heyman and PBC on a 1-year leash always. Always. Because, like, the fans deserve this finally. After years of seeing hot garbage, man, and seeing the premium platform like Showtime being reduced to almost nothing. We deserve this now. So anyway, guys, we're being joined by Joe Strummer. He says this: PBC needs to fight Top Rank and DAZN boxers. They're the HIV of boxing. Ouch! Damn. The HIV, that's harsh, man. Well, look, this is my solution. And Karray, I was talking to you about this earlier. This is my solution. Look, I understand that we no longer have HBO, right? The platform, the universally recognized platform of boxing, right? We don't have that anymore. Okay, because it used to be when HBO was the biggest stage of boxing, the most respected. Every promoter wanted their fighters to compete on that platform. So you had guys like Ken Hirschman in the past, Ross Greenberg, Lou DiBella especially. He had that clout where he could hold these promoters' feet to the fire. And he could say, you know what? Either you guys work together and make this matchup, or tough shit, you're not going to be fighting on my network. Well, guess what? These networks have exclusive deals now with a single promotional entity. And they're not in a position where they can proverbially, quote unquote, hold their feet to the fire. So this is my recommendation, and this is my solution for all of this. Fox should get out of the boxing business in terms of just doing business with one network, because it's not working, right? Not working. Everything's on pay-per-view, and we see hot garbage on flagship Fox once a month. right? So what they should do, either this or Netflix, have PBC stay on Showtime, have Top Rank stay on ESPN, have Golden Boy and Matchroom stay on DAZN, but for inter-promotional bouts once a month, stage them and sell the matchups to Fox or Netflix and fight on a neutral platform.
I
So,
agree.
like,
And you know what, Joe?
go ahead, sir.
I'm so happy with Fox, right? You know, if the things that you're hearing come to fruition, I'm so happy with Fox that they seen the company in Premier Championship Boxing and the efforts, like the lazy efforts that they have made uh, to produce boxing at a high level on a big time network as Fox. Give PBC
Yep.
credit, absolutely. They get nothing but credit. You will hear me giving them nothing but flowers for this amazing year that they had.
Yep.
But
Yep.
Joe, you hit the nail in the coffin. It's a
Mm-hmm.
contract year.
It's a
They gonna
contract
try
year.
to put out the best fights in the contract year. They gonna try to do what they gonna try to make it seem like they do this every year. But PBC, we remember the three of how long was they signed with Fox, Joe?
Since
It was like 3 years,
3 years,
4
sir.
years.
Yeah. Well, it's
Okay,
supposed to
so
be 4 years actually, since 2017.
so we seen what happened the years before that, and it was absolutely trash. Not saying every fight was trash, but they gave us nothing. Not like the real bosses of boxing, us being the consumers we were supposed to get.
Listen to this. The 4-year deal is supposed to be a 4-year deal signed in 2018. But from what I've been told, Fox has absolutely zero intention of renewing this contract and stopping it after this year.
That's so great to hear, man, because this has been horrific from PBC. And if I'm Showtime, and you know what? If I'm Showtime, I'm looking at PBC in a different fashion myself, because it's like y'all just excluded us when y'all got that Fox deal. I'm not saying
Yep.
y'all didn't have some fights on Showtime, but all the big time, you know, matchups that was pay-per-view worthy, they were coming from Fox, right, Joe? Am I right or wrong about that?
Yeah. Well, look, yeah, that's again, yeah, Espinosa felt slighted, taking Deontay Wilder, taking Errol Spence, and putting him on Fox, right? But once again, Fox is like, so what, man? We're not making any money from these guys. Like, dude, you just sent Jake Paul and Floyd Mayweather to Showtime. Why didn't we get something like that? We're not getting Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. Why aren't we getting that? Those are the only events that are making money. Dude, Fox? Yeah, man. Look. Those are the only pay. You know what's sad? The state of boxing, brother.
Yeah.
It's sad, the state of boxing. When you consider that the biggest draws of the sport are 2 YouTubers
Damn.
and 2 retired fighters like Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather.
Damn, Joe, that hurt. It felt like you hit me in my stomach.
Dude, those are the only big pay-per-view stars right now. Now, obviously, Canelo Alvarez was a big pay-per-view commodity on HBO. Now he's at a streaming service like DAZN. With this last big hit against when he faced BJ Saunders, right? They finally, with Canelo's pull, were able to increase their subscriber numbers to over 1 million in the U.S. market. Listen to how dismal sales have been for DAZN, right? They have over 8 million subscribers worldwide. And since its conception, the U.S. market only consisted of 10% of those sales.
Damn.
800,000. That's it. They finally got over that hump. Now they're about 1.2 million subscribers to DAZN in America.
So it's
That's
picking
not
up.
very good, guys. Look, Jake Paul and Ben Askren did a pile driver on that, man. Dude, they sold almost 2 million pay-per-view units on Triller.
Damn. Woo. That's
So I
ridiculous,
tell you
bro.
what, in my opinion, what's going to solve all of this, right, and would be the best thing for boxing. Well, first, before we go any further, let's give a shout out to my brother Peter. Peter, thank you for joining us again. Team Spence Fire all in. May the best man win, brother. I tell you what, Karray, as much as I've ridiculed Errol Spence's activity for just flagrantly, like it's been sick, and he hasn't even been shy about it. Purposely avoiding Terrence Crawford, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but I had to sit up and smile when I saw him kiss the star on the helmet, right?
Yep. Yep.
I'm sorry, guys. And once again, I'm being a homer. I will always be an avid Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
Don't hate me for that, guys. But yeah, that actually made me smile. So I tell you what, if he keeps on doing that, it's going to be difficult for me to root against Errol Spence. That's for sure. But guys, once again, Karray and I, we have no dog in the hunt. That's how we pride ourselves in being able to assess all of these things very clearly and objectively.
Hey,
We give credit to wherever credit's due, boy, and we'll throw stones whenever it's deserved, right? So I'm sorry, what were you saying, Karray?
No, I'm glad you said that because, we was talking offline earlier. You brought up an excellent point, and I want you to elaborate on that. How you just stated how Errol Spence, he's been saying it loud. This isn't Mr. IOTBA saying it, Karray Bradshaw, or Joseph Herron saying it. Errol Spence has been saying this open to the publicly, not shy about it, that he ain't fighting Terrence Crawford next. So I want you to elaborate on how when the WBA made their move with Yorganis Ugas to make him the super champ, how this even pushed that fight with Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford further back into the...
Yeah, look, guys. Once again, Heyman has no desire. And once again, he is preparing for the worst. He's hoping for the best and preparing for the worst. In the case that Terrence Crawford decides to say, you know what, screw it. I still want to work with Top Rank. I haven't received any offer from Heyman. I haven't received any offer to fight from their guys. I am receiving a guaranteed $4 million per year from Bob. Guess what? I'm going to decide to roll with Bob again. So in that case, right, in that instance, yeah, Heyman's already preparing for, okay, so if Errol Spence wins, as we think he's going to beat Manny Pacquiao, then we can just snub Terrence Crawford for another year and have him face either Yorganis Ugas or Keith Thurman, whoever wins that fight, or Yorganis Ugas, Sean Porter, whoever wins that fight. Right?
Oh, that's sad.
They're going to snub him for another year if he resigns. And that's still a big if, though. And that's another topic on another show altogether. Because in my opinion, I'm not convinced that Top Rank wants to be in the Terrence Crawford business any longer.
I mean, can you blame them? Because they doing everything possible.
Well, yeah.
No, they're doing everything possible.
Yep.
I give Bob Arum the highest of praise that he's doing everything possible to get Terrence Crawford these fights. But can we blame Top Rank? Because enough is enough. Like, when you can't get your guy these fights and you have to pay this guy this ample amount of money and it's not adding up,
you know what, guys? Yeah, and look, it's obvious. Look, when PBC and Mayweather Promotions, when they're celebrating 200,000 pay-per-view purchases as something great, and guys, from what I've been told, it wasn't even close to that. But when you're celebrating and beating your chest about 200,000 pay-per-view sales, and I'm referring to Gervonta Davis, okay, that's not good. That's not good, guys. Look, Bob Arum understands this. Understands that the antiquated pay-per-view revenue stream, okay, it's a thing of the past. And boxing fans are no longer interested in purchasing these events any longer. Piracy is the biggest issue in boxing right now. Arum knows this. Joe Strummer has the beat. He has said PBC fighters lie about their pay. I don't know if they lie about their pay, but I think they receive compensation on the back end. This is why most of them have this inflated sense of worth. They get overpaid, brother. Stank Davis. Thank you for joining us, Joe. And thank you for letting us know how you feel, man.
No, you're right, though, Joe. They do get overpaid. Look how they say these guys will not go against Al Heyman. Like, so he has to be compensating his fighters on PBC very well because these, like, I want to see what Caleb Plant. I know that's another topic, but I want to see what Caleb Plant gonna do. Is he gonna turn down that $6 to $8 million to take at least $500K to $1 million to fight David Benavidez? Like, I want to see.
Well, that's the only thing that makes any sense is that they're getting overpaid because look, anytime Terrence Crawford has been interested in fighting someone like Sean Porter or Keith Thurman or Errol Spence Jr., they overprice themselves. And in my opinion, just from listening to interviews with these guys, they genuinely believe that they're worth that much. Like they will talk about like Sean Porter when that was a hot topic, Sean Porter versus Terrence Crawford, when he was the #1 contender in the WBO. He said $1 million is insulting. Even to start the negotiations at $2 million is insulting.
Damn.
Yeah, this guy genuinely believes because he's been featured in one pay-per-view against Errol Spence, and it did what, 300,000? Like, dude, he thinks that he's a pay-per-view star now. I guarantee you he made around $3-4 million with that in that fight. So, in my opinion, these guys are terribly overpaid because Sean Porter has never been a big ticket seller. He's never been an A-side headliner, ever.
Like, salute to Sean Porter. He a good fighter, but he don't have the style. His style isn't contagious that gravitates an audience to him.
Well, dude, it's great. It's great for the NFL.
Yeah.
Sure. Now look, this is how poorly Sean Porter pulls, right? This is how bad of a draw he is, both in ratings and in ticket sales, right? Think about when he was fighting Adrian Broner all those years ago. It should have been the Battle of Ohio staged in Cincinnati or Cleveland, right? Instead, it was forced to be staged in Vegas to be able to afford those inflated purses. They got that big site fee. They couldn't even stage the Battle of Ohio in Ohio because neither guy was a huge ticket seller. That's how poor of a ticket seller Sean Porter has always been, guys. And once again, it's not his fault. He right out of the amateurs, he signed with a terrible regional promoter who just got off his career on the wrong foot, right? And PBC thought it was important rather than start staging these guys' fights in their home regions or regional eras, right? They thought it was best. Heyman thought it was best just to strike a deal with the venue and have the majority of the events in a venue like the Barclays Center. So that's why you saw guys from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Florida, Philly, Cleveland, all fighting in the Barclays Center. Did that make any sense to have a Philly fighter competing in New York?
Nope.
Yeah, well, that's what we got when PBC first started doing their thing. Thank God now, though, they're listening to Tom Brown, an excellent matchmaker and promoter, a guy who knows this business backward and forth. And once again, you look at the schedule these days right now that Tom Brown is handling everything, right? Making all the matchmaking, taking care of all of these events. Look at the schedule. It's like night and day. Okay, well, Joe Strummer says Canelo is Mexican and sells out in the USA. Oh, that he does,
Right.
because the Hispanic market is alive and well, and currently, oh boy, they're supporting, they're holding up the sport of boxing on their shoulders, right?
And I'm gonna say this, not just because he a Mexican fighting Canelo. Canelo is a great fighter that has the world captivated to him. He is a great fighter. So, like Canelo, it ain't just Mexicans do make a big difference, but I'm not Mexican. I'm a black male from Dallas, Texas, and I gonna watch Canelo no matter what, because he that good and he come out there and put on the show. And speaking of that, like when it comes to, like we were saying, Sean Porter, you say he'll never be there because he don't have no personality. I'm not saying every fighter should have personality, but when you're limited in skills like Sean Porter is, you should have that personality that's over the top, that could, make fans more intrigued with you. And Canelo, and he don't have that. And Canelo, he does. Just look how Canelo was with Demetrius Andrade.
Well, look. Yeah, and for the longest time though, and once again, it's Canelo, if truth be known, was a big star in Mexico before he ever moved to the States, because he was on a reality TV show. Because of his look and because of, he looked like an Irish guy. Yeah, he was already a big star on reality Mexican TV before he ever started competing on Golden Boy. Can you hear me, Karray?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you well. Okay,
very good, because I think my headphones are starting to go out. But anyway, man, we're already still on our second topic. We're kind of going off here. But look, to end the first hour, guys, I will say this. My solution for cross interpromotional events, right? Just like we're seeing with ESPN and Fox, rather than having a mess, a co-promotion between Fox and ESPN, not knowing which platform to put it on, guys, why don't you just put together a cross-promotional event and sell it to someone with huge pockets like Netflix and call it Boxing Super Bowl? Have Golden Boy face square off against DAZN. Have PBC square off against Top Rank. Have Top Rank square off against Matchroom. And then have them all on one card, like 6, 7 just super fights, all interpromotional once a year. Call it Boxing Super Bowl and sell that thing to Netflix. Netflix has the deep pockets where they can afford it. Do you know how much they're currently pulling in every month, brother?
How much?
Well, I'm going to read you this. You do the math, man. It's absurd. It's absurd. Here, I'm pulling it up right now.
But you know what, Joe? You know what? Like, that's why I say you one of the best in the business. Like, and people need to respect that, because, like, when it comes to breaking stuff down and giving the best scenarios that you can give, you just did that, because enough is enough. Joseph, you got this in my head. You got this in my head. We are the real bosses of boxing, the fans. Enough is enough. And with the idea that you just laid out there from everybody on here, from the 214 to across the pond, that works.
So Karray, do you actually subscribe to Netflix, brother?
Yeah, I got a Netflix account.
How much is it a month in America?
It's $9.99, $8.99, something like that.
Okay. Do you know how many subscribers, paid subscribers, they have every single month?
I bet they got. I know
worldwide.
I bet
worldwide.
I bet you they got at least 200 million.
207 million.
Ooh.
Multiply that by how much you're paying every single month. And I know it differs from country to country, but that just gives you an idea as to how much money they are
No, so that's
raking in every
it's like
single month.
it's like $140 a year, probably for me. And
Yep,
this,
multiply that times 207 per year.
oh my God.
Okay, so once again, you can't tell me that Netflix can't afford to pay out for Boxing Super Bowl $100 million to pay for that event.
That's true.
That is nothing for Netflix. They're paying so much more than that for their original entertainment. They paid Martin Scorsese over $90 million for the rights to make The Irishman exclusively for Netflix.
Mm.
Guys, in my opinion,
Damn.
that is the future of boxing. Hit up Netflix, be a part of their programming. And once again, you can't do the farm system shit. Netflix isn't going to pay top dollar for that, and their fans don't want to watch it. So keep the farm systems where they're at. PBC on Showtime, Top Rank on ESPN, Golden Boy and Matchroom on DAZN, and just create the Super Bowl of boxing, 1 or 2 massive events per year with interpromotional, with the best of every division, fighting the best of every division, and sell it to Netflix. Have it once or twice per year. Create the boxing Super Bowl on Netflix.
I agree, man. That is an excellent idea, man. But it's so much greed in the sport of boxing with these promoters. Not all of them, because you have promoters like Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum who are willing to put their pride to the side and work with each other. The common denominator is PBC and Al Heyman. Respect the PBC and Al Heyman, for building his company up. But he has to show a little bit more respect to the sport of boxing, the way they put these matchups out there for us public to see. Because if we want the sport of boxing to grow, if you putting this guy who is a top-rated fighter who's 20-0 against a guy who's 15-15 and it's non-competitive, like, what is that doing for us? Joe, you spoke on it.
Yep. Once again, man, and it's sad that, all of these networks, they've turned into farm club stables for these promoters. And we'll occasionally, if we have enough talent in one division from one promotional stable, like we just saw with Jose Ramirez versus Josh Taylor, like we saw last year with Teofimo Lopez versus Vasily Lomachenko, 2 great fights to crown undisputed champions in one division from one promoter, but that's very rare. Like we're getting this Saturday, Brian Castano versus Jermell Charlo in San Antonio, Texas. Both fighters compete on PBC, and we're crowning an undisputed champion in that division. How rare is that, though, that talent all resides under one stable?
That is rare.
So Peter points this out. Thank you for joining us, my brother. He says, today it's Julio Cesar Chavez's birthday. Turns 59. El Gran Campeón Mexicano. Woo! Tell you what, man.
Happy birthday, Julio.
One of my favorite fighters of all time. This guy was a total badass. And you know what? I'm going to do this Sunday for all of you guys? I'm going to ask Gogi, right? I'm going to ask Gogi, Coach Gogi, because he is the best at breaking down matchups and fight analysis, right? I'm going to ask him for all of you guys as a celebration or an honor of his birthday, right? What Gogi thinks, how a matchup would look at 130 pounds between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Julio Cesar Chavez. Who would win?
Oh, man.
How would that fight look? Prime to prime, 130 at 130 pounds. Arguably, their 2 strongest and best divisions, right? Because I'm sorry, at 130 pounds, Floyd Mayweather was a monster, just brutalizing everybody, right? And
Everybody.
boy, Chavez Sr., oh my gosh, at 30, boy, he was a brute, man. Like he could run anyone out of the ring, just whoop their ass on the inside and fight them in a phone booth and make them hate life. Seriously, man, I can't see. I don't know who wins that fight. So, guys, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually thank you for bringing that up, Peter. Yes, it's Chavez Senior's, the man, the good Chavez. His birthday today. He turns 59.
Hey, can I ask you something, Joe? You think Canelo
yes, sir.
I know this is a wide stretch question, but do you think Canelo has the time left to surpass Julio Cesar Chavez in Mexico? The love?
That's a tough one, man. I mean, if he keeps on, he's already surpassed him in terms of titles, multi-weight divisions. Ring accomplishments he already has. But in terms of fan adoration, I don't know if anyone will. I don't know dude, you're talking about, geez, man, everyone loved Julio Cesar Chavez.
Hey, in this week, Joseph, and I know that you remember this, in this week, this was the week where Julio Cesar Chavez, he beat Roger Mayweather. This week in boxing.
I know. Ooh, geez, that was brutal. He whooped Roger Mayweather's ass, man. Ooh, brutal. That's what I'm saying. So guys, I'm going to ask Gogi if he can actually size up and analyze for us on Sunday. Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. at 130 pounds. And once again, this is not going to be this era. It's going to be 15-round fights, right? It's going to be same-day weigh-ins. Okay? Let's see how Floyd fares on same-day weigh-ins and 15-round fights. Let's see how on those rules. And once again, also, referees back in the day like Arthur McCanty Sr., Frank Cappuccino, guys who didn't let you hold. Right? We'll make those rules up. So I don't understand this one. Joe says, Joseph, RULSD. What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Is it LSD? Am I tripping? Is that what that means? Brother, I'm happy to say that the only drug of choice, my drug of choice, is the occasional drink, but caffeine, brother. I drink a ton of caffeine. So maybe that's your answer, my friend. I think that's what he meant by Joseph, are you LSD? Are you tripping? Okay. And if not, well, then please clear that up, Mr. Stromer. But I tell you what, we still have do you think we're going to get to these topics eventually? Brother, so. What do you think? I hope so too. All right, well, let's go. So, Gogi, we've got two topics left. Will Canelo take on Caleb Plant September 9th or the 18th? Or Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos? Is it going to be staged in Australia on October 17th? Or will Teofimo vacate his IBF title? And once again, guys, if you've been listening to the show, we told you the way these scenarios were going to play out. We've been very consistent. Like when this purse bid happened back in April, we told you this was going to be a big pain in the ass. That Teofimo Lopez was in the wrong, and he should respect the process.
Well, Joe, you tried to tell us.
No. I did tell you, brother.
No, I know. No, you were right on the money.
You just didn't listen.
We just didn't listen.
Well, okay, so here it is. The Super Bowl of boxing, you must be on LSD. Okay, brother, you can call me the Willy Wonka of boxing then, because I am the dreamer of dreams. And in my opinion, this is a very feasible thing. And this is, in my opinion, if you want the business of boxing to appeal once again to a large mainstream demographic, you're going to need something like this. This is something that would be able to capture the imagination of the mainstream and casual fans once again. Who wouldn't get up for this? Because right now, as it is, look, mainstream and casual sports fans want to be inspired. And I'm sorry, but seeing these buffoons twerk and talk about how much money they're making and what their pound for pound ranking is, that doesn't inspire anyone, dude. That doesn't inspire anybody.
And another thing,
look, the powers that be in boxing absolutely have to do something that's going to inspire. Like, okay, for instance, did anyone who loves baseball here, man? I love baseball.
I love baseball too.
Truth be known, that's my first and favorite pastime of all time. Right? I love that even more than boxing.
Joe, no lie.
Do you know why?
I was at the batting cage yesterday. No lie.
Oh, dude, there's nothing more. There's nothing better than that. Wait till you get to coach your son in Little League, brother. That's the gift that keeps on giving. Like, seriously, that's one of the best times of my life, coaching my son in Little League, right? And let me tell you, man, I was watching the Home Run Derby. That's why we were a little late putting on that show. And you know what? The players were all smiles. They were high-fiving, hugging each other, guys from different teams, and they looked genuinely happy to be there, like they were happy to be a part of that event. And that's just a home run derby. In my opinion, boxers, promoters, PR guys, everyone who works within this business, they need an event like that.
Yeah. Facts.
For the fans, something to inspire fans, because fans do not get inspired seeing how much hearing Floyd Mayweather brag about, hey, you know, this is just a legalized bank robbery. Okay, no one is inspired by that. Everyone is turned off by that. Okay. Why do you think none of these fighters can draw or sell any pay-per-views these days?
Oh, man.
Hey, look, hey, I got 30 million just right here in my purse. So who's the real smart person in boxing? Dude, no one wants to see that shit. Nobody. No one. So Joe Strummer once again asks, what are your thoughts on Fury? I'm sorry you were late to the show, brother. We already, like the whole first 30 minutes of the program, we just annihilated every single conspiracy theory. So as soon as we finish this show, you can check it out, because it was very lengthy, and we read quotes and personal interviews with many people in this equation, including Javen Sugar Hill, as well as matchmaker Bruce Trampler of Top Rank. And yeah, we basically stomped out any of these idiotic, ignorant conspiracy theories, saying that it's not really COVID. Okay. So I hope you enjoy that. I hope you can check us out, man, when we're finished.
Hey Joe, and like you brought it up, like, you told us about Top Rank. You did. You told everybody around the world that was a bad move that Tio was doing. But Joseph, like, this ain't American championship boxing. This world championship boxing, right?
Yep.
So we should
I'll tell you what, Karray, let's do this, man, because it's already getting late and we're already well over an hour. Let's do this so Joe can check out and people can check out the first segment. Let's save this for tomorrow morning. Are you down? Do you want to stay as the next two topics? We can do an AM show tomorrow morning.
I'm down, brother.
Okay, well, I'm gonna book it then. How does 10 o'clock sound okay to you?
Man, perfect.
Okay, so guys, we're gonna sign off tonight, and we're gonna reconvene at at 10 a.m. in the morning, and we're going to talk about Canelo. We're going to talk about Teofimo and what other developments, well, arise from now until tomorrow morning. But guys, thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate you subscribing, brother. And once again, click the notification also so you don't miss any episodes regarding. And guys, our coverage of Castaño versus Charlo is going to be extensive this week. I'm going to have a ton of one-on-one interviews in San Antonio, Texas, at the AT&T Center, home of the Spurs. We're also going to talk to former San Antonio champions, Jesse James Leja, as well as the trainer for the very first champion in San Antonio, Mr. Joe Lopez, El Pekin Quiroga, right? We're also talking about, absolutely, we're also going to interview John Michael Johnson, Mario Varrios, who just lost, as well as Josh Franco, who's going to be defending his title on August 14th. Karray, that's the fight you're going to be working, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I can't wait to go to Topeka,
so guys,
Oklahoma.
Absolutely, we're going to be there at the Hard Rock in Oklahoma. So, guys, we've got a lot of stuff in store for everybody this week. So we appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you for your subscribing, my friend. Guys, everyone have a wonderful evening. Karray, do you have any parting shots until we reconvene in the AM at 10 a.m.?
Just shout out to everybody on here from the 2142 across the pond. We appreciate y'all for tuning in to War Week Radio. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and comment. And this is for the playback gang if y'all coming back and listen to this. We want to hear y'all thoughts. And see y'all tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time.
God bless you guys. On behalf of Karray Bradshaw, my name is Joseph Herron. You've been listening to War Week Radio Network. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.